Hmm.
Welcome, Regina. How are you?
Good, Jocelyn. How are you?
Well, I've always got a bunch of videos and a bunch of things to say and trying to get, a little flavor of everything. Of course, the flavor nowadays is just sour, sour, sour.
I didn't realize that. I never saw that video about what Trudeau was doing. I mean, it's not surprising, but it's concerning. We have all
Look at
these
how,
border issues going on.
yeah, and our northern border is longer than the southern border and virtually has,
Right.
I don't think it has any fencing, and it definitely doesn't have anybody protecting it. Maybe on the Canadian side, I don't think there's anybody on our side.
Well, last time we talked about it, they said that Border Patrol up there said that they all get sent down to the southern border
Hmm.
because that's what always gets, not overplayed, but that's
Yep,
what they're always talking about. But like, I mean, the Canadian border goes all across from
correct.
California all the way to Maine. So I'm not sure. And we didn't send any National Guard up there. I don't believe. Sununu
I
didn't
don't,
think of that one.
I don't think so, and I haven't heard a word from Sonono about guarding our northern border or anybody else at this point. And
No,
I
I
heard,
asked him about that in 2021. I got crickets.
of course you did. Of
I
course,
mean, and I was elected then at the local level. He should have immediately addressed my concerns. But that's another story. But
that is. So, we're gonna talk about the. Do you want to talk about voting first, and then go to general news? Or you want to do the general news and then go to voting?
yeah, whatever you want to do. General news, I guess.
Okay. So, were you watch? Did you get a chance? I know we were both busy with the voting stuff today. Did you get a chance to watch the special prosecutor Herr? I believe his name's Robert. Robert Herr.
Yeah, her.
Um,
Yeah.
that I didn't get to see this morning because I was working, but
I
I saw.
watched sort of in the background. I listened to it, and it's almost like he's admitting to me when I heard what I heard of it that Biden effed up. And then you got Biden going on the TV saying, "Oh, I did this," and then if anything, he blamed the staff. That's what I heard a lot. He kept, "Oh, it was the staff. The staff said I could do this. The staff said I could do that." Well, guess what? The staff isn't elected. You
Correct.
are.
Correct. And and the point I was trying to make sort of like side by side columns of what went on, and so Biden took classified documents when he was a senator 40 years ago,
Which
40,
you're not even supposed to be allowed to do at all.
at all. But so follow me, that never supposed to take those documents at all. Number two, 40 years ago. So
Right.
then fast forward to VP for 8 years under Obama, and he takes more documents, or his staff give them to him and deliver them to his house and the
Right.
Biden Pen Center.
Exactly.
And so there's another 8 years in that 40. Um, did he have a mind? Could he think then? I'm kind
I
of
don't think
thinking,
so, but even if he could, he knew he wasn't president, and only the president has the authority to take any documents
right,
that because only the president has the power to declassify them.
correct. And
So,
he can take them anytime, any place, anywhere, and declassify them anytime, any place, anywhere.
and he worked with what is it? The government records. I can't think of what the
Archives.
three-letter agency is. Huh?
It's at the archives.
The archives. Yeah, the archives. And he let them instruct them as the best way to doing it. And when he left, and I remember seeing everything sitting outside that he was taking from the White House when he left office, as you do see with a lot of the presidents when they leave, what they take.
Yep.
And it was all completely transparent. I didn't know until recently that Biden had documents in Chinatown and
In
all
Baltimore.
over, stored with his Corvette for the winter. I mean, what the heck is going on here?
Well, I think they established, so he took classified paperwork as a senator and as a VP over a 40-year period. Then we had the 4 years of Trump, and he still had all of those. documents. And as a VP, I think you can have him 8 years, but it's neither here nor there. It's 40 years, and he knew what he was doing. Nobody said that he was a senile, grandfatherly, forgetful old fart. That just started.
Which apparently is an excuse now.
Oh, I hear you. Trump comes in 4 years, and as president, he takes his people, the archives, bundle up what he has. He says, send it to Mar-a-Lago, sends it to Mar-a-Lago. Archives say lock it away. He locks it in what it looked to me was like a wine cellar. So, underneath a little bit, it was a wine cellar or something.
Did you see the condition of his garage? Do we actually have a president that has a garage in that much of a disarray? I couldn't believe it.
I'm like, that looks like my house. Well, wait a minute.
It's because, I grew up with an Italian mother, but oh my God, that garage was a mess.
It was horrible. It's horrible. And so we know Trump put him in a room, locked away, and the archive people actually came back. I think it was 4 months before they raided. And they said, oh, you need an extra lock on there. So he put an extra lock on there. And let's not forget, he had cameras inside and out, 2 locks. The archive people had come at least twice. And he had Secret Service full-time because he's the president. Full-time Secret Service. And you go back to the garage. What did you see in Binky's garage there? Describe it to everybody.
It was like, the documents were in a box that looked like it had been eaten by moths and got wet about probably 5 dozen times. And then he just had like random stuff everywhere, like furniture that probably is not used anymore. And it looked like a hoarder's garage to me.
Yep.
And I mean, this guy was our senator for 40 years. Then he was vice president for 8. And now he's president for 4. And what has he done? Why does he keep getting into office?
That's what
why are people still falling for this? He obviously can't win an election without cheating.
Well, or being
none of these candidates can.
No, they're all installed. They're all selected and installed. That's what I'm seeing. That when I remember looking, the other thing, so like I said, Trump has it in a room. The archives people have been there multiple times, 2 times at least. Double lock, Secret Service, cameras. He gets raided. No warning, no nothing. They just show up. His lawyers are not allowed to be there. No one's allowed to be there. They throw him out. FBI goes into the room where it was locked, that archives had been there a couple of months before. Break it open, take it out. They put the boxes all over Mar-a-Lago. Because you remember seeing them in a bathroom, and I'm like, what the hell was that? And then on a stage, and then a bedroom, and then they went to Melania's underwear and put boxes there.
Oh, that was off. And even through Barron's room, I mean,
disgusting.
And FBI, right? What do we always have for what is the same variable in everything that seems to happen in this country? The intelligence agencies, the FBI, the CIA. And even Putin said it. And he should know.
He should know. So we're looking at the different ways, and they take pictures. Today they were showing them, and he had them everywhere. And I forget who it was, but some snot-nosed person decides to go. And he invites thousands of people, tens of thousands of people a day to his house. It's a hotel, and his residence is over there.
Right.
And tens of thousands of people are exposed to all of that. No, it wasn't. It was locked down in a room, and they're in the hotel over there because Secret Service doesn't let anybody in.
What is he talking? Are you talking about Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mar-a-Lago, what people need to realize about Mar-a-Lago is I've been there. Mar-a-Lago, Trump has the biggest house in Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago has people that hate Trump that live there. Like, it's like one big ass resort. And the other hoax where they're trying to only, appraise that property for $18 million. I mean, that is a freaking joke. It's got to be at least, I mean, it's in Palm Beach for one, and it's huge.
Yeah.
I would be willing to bet that it was in the hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, I have no idea, but 18 million is just, we got lots in Hampton selling for 7 million that have multiple properties on them. I mean, that's ridiculous. The fact that anyone believes that, and they think that Trump is like, runs everything about Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago has people that hate Trump there. There's never Trumpers living there.
Yep.
You know, like, people don't realize, they don't know anything. They just know what the TV tells them and what these elected people tell them. And it's always a half truth at the very best.
Oh yeah, that's the very, very best. What was the other things that I was seeing? So Trump had no warning, so they're claiming that he obstructed and all this other stuff.
Right.
But Biden got a warning, and he totally let the FBI come in. They let everybody come in his house. They let everybody go to the Penn Biden Center. They let him go to Chinatown in Boston, and all these 7 locations where they had found these boxes of evidence, of which none of them, and her said today, not one of the locations were secure at all.
Yeah.
You just can't
Crazy.
make this stuff up. And what I did like, though, I hadn't really heard him speak, so I was very interested to hear how he answered. And full disclosure, I thought he was brilliant. Just the way he answered. I'm not saying I agreed with everything he said,
right,
but how he answered. So the Democrats would try to nail him. Go, did you say this? And did you exonerate? And he goes, yes, those words are in the report. Yes, that is in the report. He doesn't say, I put it in the report, we put it in the
He's just saying it's already that is in the what's already been, publicized. Yeah, I caught that too. I thought that was good.
I thought that was very interesting. Note to self, The other thing I thought was really interesting was they tried to use the word exonerate, and it was that Japal, whatever her name is, and she kept trying to exonerate, make him admit that he exonerated him. And so he started talking, she kept talking, and he just kept saying, I didn't say exonerate, it's not in the report, it doesn't say exonerate, those words aren't in the report. And she finally gets all pissed off because they can't frazzle him. And she goes, this is my time. And I'm at the front of the TV going, and I'm not talking to you.
Right. He had already put it in the report, and he didn't want, because he knew what they do is that you say something, they're going to try to twist it. So it was already filed in the report, and he just kept referencing the report, which is, to me, in my view, that's what should have been done.
Well, that's
he shouldn't add what his opinion is of it now when it's already filed in the report.
Correct. The other interesting thing I found, reminiscent of what goes on here in New Hampshire and everywhere, but they were saying how they had just gotten the transcript this morning of what Biden had said, and the whole interrogatory, whatever it is that they had, and somebody tried to blame her on you questioned Biden about the death of his son, and they went on and on and on. And
he lies about the death of his son, so his son died of cancer. I mean,
and he was with them the whole time till the minute that he died. He didn't die in combat. He didn't die in Afghanistan. He didn't die all alone. And not that I'm minimizing that his son died. It's a terrible tragedy.
But don't lie about the way he died. I mean, no one, who else does that? No one I know of.
And every time somebody has a death or a this or that something terrible, he always brings him up. It always comes back to Biden and him. And the one that what he had said was they got the transcript, and the Democrats all went crazy. And so somebody at the end, it might have been Darrell Issa or somebody like that, said, well, now that we finally have the transcript, we got it this morning, we've never seen it before. And the White House and everybody else had it. So they read through that section, and the prosecutor, her, never asked him about it. Biden was trying to figure out an answer of what year he was this, when he was vice president, when he was this.
He doesn't even know.
He didn't even know. So he's trying to figure it out. He goes, well, May 30th was Bo's death. Like, we're trying to figure out years, and he talks about a day, a month and a day, and then adds
Right.
his son to it. And then two, they didn't say who they were, but it wasn't the prosecutor or those guys. Two of Biden's guys said, oh, that's, 2015 or that's, and they continued this, and they tried to blame it on the prosecutor. I mean, I was literally sitting there incredulous going, what the hell is wrong with you people? All of you people, both sides.
Yeah. With the exception of maybe 5 people in Congress, including
Correct.
the Senate.
Yep.
They all need to go.
Yeah, well, they obviously don't understand their job. They don't understand their oath of office. They don't know what they're supposed to be there. Somehow, and it goes all the way down to dog catcher, they believe that because they're elected, they know best. And
Right.
they can tell you, Regina, what you're supposed to do, and who, what music you're supposed to march to, and when you march to it. And we're just going to have these. What did you tell me once? Was it 2,000 plus bills when you were up in Concord that would be there on the first day that were all ready to go?
Oh yeah, if you look at the legislative service requests, which like they don't all become bills, but that's like what everyone files, all of them that want a bill. It's like 2,000 now. And when I was talking to state reps that were reps like back in the 90s, maybe 80s, they'd say like you might have 400 or 500 bills, 400 or 500 LSRs. So I mean, it's everything is just like if there's a problem, you make a bill. No, that's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to govern in accordance with Part 1, protecting our rights.
Yep.
And 2, that's your authorities as a government, as a form of government. Other than that, there's nothing that you're supposed to be doing. Now we get all these bills with some type of new election portal system or something, I think that was up this week.
Yep.
Why do you think they're doing this right now? They're doing it for the 2024 election, people, okay? Like they do everything. It's always for the next election. The new voting machines in New Hampshire that Sununu recently signed into law that started out as a health bill, I believe.
Yep, they jammed it in the health bill, hit it in the health bill.
I mean, if I was a selectman and I have a track record of doing so, I would bring this up at a board meeting. And when my first term, we used to actually have the state reps come in on maybe like a quarterly basis, or at least at the start or end of every session to let us know what was going on. They don't even show up anymore. And no one asks about it. There's no accountability. We had a ballot printing error. And the Board of Selectmen, who are responsible for the information on the town warrant, pawned it all off on the town clerk. So apparently there's only one person in Hampton that's responsible to make sure the ballot gets printed correctly. And we had added, there was like 3 paragraphs in a place on a ballot that shouldn't have been there. And the only reason it was found because it was found by the public and one of the fire department guys, because it came right after their warrant articles for their contracts this year.
Okay.
And they were upset that it was going to maybe confuse the voters because it was talking about the unassigned fund balance. How does that happen? And then they pawn it all off on the poor town clerk, who's also the town clerk for the schools. And she doesn't have a second. So you don't have a second review, because I'll tell you right now, if we had our old town manager, and if we had me and Mary Louise still sitting on that board, that would have never happened, because if we added 3 paragraphs to a ballot that was never there before, we would have looked at it to make sure it came out right.
Well, exactly. And I would think it would have been voted on or at least passed
They
by.
were just like Biden. They pawned off the blame, just like Biden was trying to do today with his staff. It's the same shit at the local level, at the state level, and at the national level. And all these people running for, with the exception of a few that are running in 2024, I heard a very nice thing to call them from Holly, who's running for Congress.
Okay.
Holly Novaleski.
Yeah.
She calls them recycled Republicans. Oh no, recycled candidates.
Recycled.
And I love that, because it's like a nice way of saying that they're a political hack.
Yep.
So
rinse, recycle, rinse and recycle, rinse and recycle.
It's all the same people. Morse, Ayotte, I can't even think of them right now, but
I don't even want to say their names. Hey,
yeah.
listen, let's do a quick break and come back and talk about some more voting.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, let's do a quick break and we'll be right back, everybody. All right, we're back with Miss Regina Barnes, New Hampshire muckraker, and I know you did your Truth Bomb Tuesday. You released it early because you had crazy voting going on today. What were some really crazy things you've been hearing about in the state that's just really out of control that you're looking at? Is it repeating from town to town? Are you seeing it just in Hampton? Because I'm seeing, as far as schools, we've got school boards, and in my town we have 2 school boards. We have a cooperative and then the regular SAU, and they make their own bylaws, and I'm not really sure where they come from. I have to investigate that, but in the end I don't care, because we pay the bills. So I want one school board, and if we have to have combine the people or do half the people and they do all the work, then so be it. But we've got, 2 school boards, so nothing's getting done. They want to put half of the middle school and half of the elementary school together in some big, huge $125 million building that I don't know where people are going to park. I don't know what the roads are going to be like, because it's sort of in, the little cute little village, how it's going to affect everybody around them. I know what's happened to the taxes. And then once they've done that, well, then, in a year, we got to go fix the middle school. Another year, we're going to go fix the high school. But they're different boards. And so they're all about me, 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 me.
Right.
We're getting killed. And I'm seeing that in several cities and towns around here, that they just are blowing off the citizens and the taxpayers and just going, I don't care, pay it. What are you seeing?
Well, as far as the schools, Hampton is just as out of control as everywhere else. The problem with the town elections is the voter turnout is pathetic.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have 11, 12,000 people vote for president, and we have 3,000, 3,500 if we're lucky vote in the town elections, where that's where all the money's getting spent locally, and that's what's going to make your property taxes go up. And as we know, everything in New Hampshire is based on property tax.
Yeah.
People are paying, you're extremely high in your town for schools. Hampton's about 57% per the last tax bill. But even still, 57% of that property tax bill for seniors that don't have any children in the school, they're still paying all that money to the schools, and they're not getting a break.
Correct.
So what I did this year was, because I know we have a revaluation, if you want to call it that, coming up in 2024, and that's going to probably hurt a lot of seniors, as the values of their property is going to go up, so they're going to pay more in taxes.
Yep.
So I raised, through a petition warrant article, the amounts of the exemptions for elderly 65 and older. There's 3 different tiers. And then also the income limits you can have, because the income number hasn't been adjusted in
decades.
It's probably been at least 15, 20 years. So there's no inflation accounted into that number. So I raised that substantially. And I knew they were probably going to come up with a version of an increase, because we usually do when we have a revaluation. But their income, they didn't adjust the income levels high enough, like I knew they wouldn't. So I'm hoping tonight that people will see, vote no on the town one and vote yes on the Barnes one, because it's going to help more people.
Right.
About 27%, I think, of our population in Hampton is 65 and older.
Yep.
So those people are paying the full school portion. So if they can now qualify for the elderly exemption, at least that will sort of give them a break. And regardless of what you're going to hear, the only thing it's going to do is give governments less money.
Correct.
Which I'm all about.
I am too.
So
zoning going on in Hampton.
So zoning, that's what I did my truth bomb on, and that is directly correlated with my great friend in Bedford, who runs the Bedford Taxpayer Association, or she puts out all the notices anyway. She's the one that got me sort of informed on what was going on with the housing tyranny when I was a selectman. And I was able to get my board to, formally oppose some things that were going on in Concord, which was good. Didn't go anywhere, but at least Hampton had a voice in the matter. But what's happening is they're actually redefining what a workforce housing is, what accessory dwelling units. If you don't know, accessory dwelling units were adopted, put into statutory law back in 2017, and that was put on the ballots for towns to adopt. And I wasn't as learned as I am now on the subject, and I, moved that forward with the rest of the board. Knowing now, if I had known then what I know now, I would have been opposed to it. But Hampton did accept the accessory dwelling units, and now they're making those laws more lenient. If you have a single family property, right now you're allowed to have one accessory dwelling unit. One of the bills, which you have to look at my truth bomb to know the number, but would make that from 1 to 2. So you could actually have 2 accessory dwelling units on one single family lot. And if you look at the bills that they're trying to pass in Concord right now, which are also got Republican names on them too, you can actually, I got the bill numbers right here. There are House Bill 1291, House Bill 1399, and Senate Bill 538. Now, the Senate Bill 538 is actually tax relief program for office conversion to residential. Now, as we know, after COVID, we have all this empty office space.
Correct.
So we're probably going to see like what they've already done in Salem and such.
Yep.
Workforce housing and whatever they're calling it. So now if you take that, which in process in Concord, and you relate it to some of our zoning amendments that are being proposed, now you have to know that Hampton is part of the Housing Opportunity Grant Program, which came out as part of the American Rescue Plan. So that's with the whole Invest New Hampshire, which was appropriated in the 2023 state budget appropriations. And that formed this whole $100 million that we got from Fed funds to invest in New Hampshire. Part of that money was going toward municipalities. Part of it was going to tax relief for people that put up these projects. So now if you look at that, Hampton's a HOP town.
Yeah.
Then you have the bills going on in Concord, and then you have specifically related to those things, affordable housing, workforce housing, defining what a family is. I don't even want to know what that means.
Oh, I don't think
And then the accessory dwelling unit amendments and multifamily dwelling amendments. Those are Articles 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8 on the Hampton ballot this year. So this is what they'll do. They'll get them passed in Concord. Then they get the people who don't really even know, when they read them, they don't know what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times they vote no, but they get all their puppets that show up at the polls to vote yes.
Correct.
So we gotta start voting no on these zoning amendments, because I'll tell you, in Hampton, we don't even follow our zoning laws. Up until recently, you could pretty much get a variance every time. So to me, until we follow our zoning laws correctly, same way as until we follow our Constitution correctly.
I was just going to say that, till we follow Constitution.
We shouldn't just be amending it. And these amendments are specifically coming from taking certain grants.
Correct.
And then, I was looking back at the 2023 budget yesterday. So then I even went back to the 2021 budget. And you know what we did in 2021? Now, keep in mind, this is the Concord budget. This was when the American Rescue Plan funds came out.
Right.
Well, number 23 of House Bill 2, which is the budget bill, provides for increased education grants to bring the state into compliance with the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
So taking federal money and having to comply with the federal puppet strings that they have attached to it, So bringing everything into compliance with the federal government because they took the federal grant money.
Right. And then we're going to give tax incentives to the private sector that puts up these types of projects. So where is all that offset to these tax incentives going to fall?
On us.
It's going to fall on the rest of us.
Yeah.
Like it always does.
Yeah.
So that's why it's very important at the local level to get involved. And, sadly, we don't have, a lot of times people don't want to run. They all want to run for Concord.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. But the way I look at it is if we get Trump back in, which I'm, waiting for him to return to the Oval Office, I'm confident that's going to happen. And we can start, putting up sort of, I call it bodyguards at these town and city levels.
Yep.
Then we can stop it. Correct. We only need maybe 3, 5, 7 votes in every single town to say, hey, guess what? This isn't authorized. Correct. We're restoring our republic here. We're done playing this game.
Yeah.
And then sort of if we can do that at the local level and we can have, the federal level getting chiseled down to what it needs to get chiseled down to, then Concord will automatically eventually have to fall in line or it's going to become non-existent.
Well, and we won't need 400 legislators, running right. around making up their own stuff and, pretending to be speaking for us. We need, as Trump said, 10, 20%, and people that follow the Constitution and understand that the Constitution protects our rights, and the federal Constitution, when it was originally written, protects, right. Was a compact with the state to protect the Constitution of the states. So, we've got to get back to that, get rid of all these people, all these government workers, all these pensions and BS.
Pensions. Look at what your pension deficit is in your own town. Hampton's about, I think, 28 million as of the end of 2022. We added 6 million to it during 2022. That's wow. Unfunded.
Oh my God.
The whole state unfunded pension liability. And you actually used to have the state cover a cost of it. Correct. But starting with Shaheen, I think, and then Hassan got rid of more. And then it was non-existent. And then I think we got a little bit of it back. It used to be 40%. Now it might be 10%. That the state would actually help towns fund it. Because it's, without the local fire and police, nothing's going to get done.
Correct.
So you have to take all these things into consideration when you're voting. Most of the Hampton budget, well over 45% of it is going to salaries, benefits.
Yep.
And insurances.
Yep.
So that's not going to fixing the roads, doing any of this stuff, which is what the taxpayers want and which is what they have the authority to do.
Correct.
So yep. That's why the local level is so important. And the problem is in Hampton, like I didn't vote for anyone on selectmen tonight. I'm not voting for the 2 that I was on the board with because they are not public servants. And yep. The other one, I was going to vote for her, but I just don't know enough about her and she doesn't have a track record. And
yeah, that's what we did. We did, or I did, and a few of us did write-ins. We didn't like any of the people. They weren't working for us. They were doing all these backroom deals and, revving up the PTA moms to, like you said, puppet, to do what they're told, toe the line. And, I don't need these snot-nosed people literally saying to us, well, if you can't afford it, move away. Well, when 75 to 80% of my property tax bill goes to schools and you want a new school, you should be kissing my ass. Sorry to be crude,
right?
But that's how it works.
And do you have an increase in children in your town?
No, across the state, we've done a study. The enrollment is dropping.
Right. It's because they're going to bring the people here. That's why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. And you're just going to pay for it. Well, I'm sorry. I'm helping my kids get through college and I'm helping my kids, get married and all those kind of things because they're at an age where they're contributing and paying taxes and doing what they're supposed to do at their age. And so to have somebody tell me that their kid needs a brand new school when none of them can read, write,
The
do
more
arithmetic.
money these schools get, the dumber our kids become. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, the more they spend, there's no return. So if we want to be financial and not, be personal, not that we are anyway, but I want a return on my investment, and I haven't had it in over 20 years. So I'm not going to invest any more money in it because, like I said, I don't even get my trash picked up. Nothing. We have full-time cops and we have part-time fire. Those are the services in my town. That's it.
Wow, that's bad. Hampton's
Well,
got all the
and of course
services, but
DPW, but that's
we
it.
go way overboard. But it's just no one that is elected is doing their job
Nope. Nope.
at any level, in my view, because like you should be paying that amount in taxes. You should be getting trash pickup. I don't care what these people got to do.
Yeah.
Or
Something.
yeah. I
Nope.
mean, what's
I get
that
to
money
look
getting
at
spent on? What is your tax bill getting spent on?
schools. And of the schools, 75% of this is what people don't understand is, if you keep doing the pies, so you get the pie and the school,
Right.
Your property taxes, and 25% goes to the town, and then that becomes a whole pie, and then the 75% becomes a whole pie. Well, when you look at the school pie, 75% of that is pensions and salaries, and we get hit with, well, the health care went up 21%. And that's my problem. Why? I have no problem doing basic benefits and a basic salary.
Well, that's like all these salaries, these town salaries, and not the union ones, because at least the union ones go on the ballot for the voters. But in Hampton, the non-union ones are decided by the selectmen and the town manager, pretty much. Don't go to the voters. And those are the ones that are like the extreme salaries. Those are the town manager, the chiefs, and all that.
Yep.
Not going to the voters, and they're getting adjusted for all the inflation. What the heck is the taxpayer getting? And then they're going to tell me that you can't raise the elderly exemptions that much because it's going to fall on others. No,
Yeah.
you know what falls on others? Having $245 million in property exempt properties like Hampton does.
Yep.
Courthouses, schools, government buildings, state buildings that don't pay taxes but get tagged on to our valuation.
Correct. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing.
It's crazy. And what we have is we got this crazy guy, supposedly, that's our president. And then we have Concord that doesn't have a clue. Most of these people probably don't even know what's on the ballot in their own town.
Yep.
And we don't have anyone guarding the towns and cities. They're just all rubber stamping what Concord says. They're not fighting. And the only way that we can stop it is by voting no on it.
Yep.
All the people that are voting for Trump in November should have been at their town polls if they had an election today voting no. But I doubt that happened.
I doubt it. All right, my dear, it's as usual. We covered so many things, and I appreciate you coming on. And some people maybe, think it's, pretty technical and stuff like that. But we've got to talk about this basic stuff. Otherwise, no one's going to ever understand where this money's going, how they're getting it, how they're asking for it. We just all have to keep educating ourselves as to what is really going on in your town, in your capital, and on a federal level.
Pretty much the more appropriations they make, the more taken off the top they do for themselves.
Exactly. Money laundering at its best. All right, my dear, get some sleep. I know you had a long day, so did I.
Yeah, you too.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.